Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland. In this video, I'm going to explain why the police in the United Kingdom ought to be armed as standard. Well, there are firearms officers in the UK already, which proves the point that British police can carry guns. So why not all of them? People say, oh well, then it would be too militarised. Almost every other country in the world has police officers carrying guns as standard. The Republic of Ireland, we don't have armed police on the whole, and the UK, and that's it. So the other 190 or so countries in the world don't find it dreadful. Doesn't mean that they're all militarised. Anyway, police carrying guns is nothing new. Since the police were founded in 1829, a few of them were armed, so there's no principle that's being jettisoned here. What's the difference between, say, 5% of the police being armed and 100%? It's a relative difference, quite a big one, but there's no difference of principle. Anyway, in the United Kingdom, well, previously in certain regions, police were armed as standard. Take the Royal Ulster Constabulary, or prior to that, the Royal Irish Constabulary. They were armed as standard. That was in the United Kingdom. So I don't see why they shouldn't be armed everywhere. Why would it be an improvement? Well, deterrence. If I'm an armed robber, I'm thinking of going out with a gun. A lot of armed police around. Better not. Various violent incidents would be closed down a lot sooner if there were armed police. Take that London Bridge attack last year. So the attackers they killed, how many people was it? A dozen? Then they're shot dead. But they would have been able to launch their attack, I suppose, kill at least one person. But if the armed police very close, the attackers would have been killed a lot sooner. Even if it saved even one innocent life, that would have been worth it. So rapid intervention, that's why to have them. Because these days, there's some sort of situation, then the ordinary police have to call the armed response unit. How long is it going to take to get there? Minutes? Hours? If it's quite remote, you don't find out where it is. So people say, oh, we can't have the police carrying firearms because then criminals would do so. Criminals already do so, and quite a large numbers. The police have estimated there are 5 times as many illegally held guns as there are legally held guns. So the police need to be armed. I hope they don't have to use them. Most police officers would never open fire. The police already have pepper spray, and just occasionally pepper spray kills people if they've got a severe respiratory problem already. They have tasers. I don't think those have ever killed anybody. These are weapons which do harm. Anyway, there are more reasons why they should be allowed to carry them, more so than they ought to be allowed to carry them previously. Gunshots are much more survivable than before because medicine has moved on. The surgeons can often save these people's lives. The police also have to patch up the person they've shot to try and save the person's life, give them first aid. We don't want the police militarised. Well, what's the alternative? Well, we saw this last May. Was the army on the streets? Real soldiers, the real military on the streets to assist the police. Was that just electioneering by Theresa May? May have been. Those soldiers in public places were withdrawn after a month or so there could be a terrorist attack, and they wouldn't be there. So I think that was really just a PR move. And the soldiers, they're not trained as police officers to use restraint, to use minimum force. They're going to perceive things as a battle and use maximum force, overwhelming force, kill rather more people than they need to. We've seen how this can go terribly wrong. So those are some of the reasons why the police should be armed. Now, it's better if the police can solve things in a non-lethal manner. Sometimes they can't resolve matters in a non-lethal manner. And using minimum force, the minimum force necessary is to kill the person. Now, I'd far rather an awful lot of criminals got killed, as long as they're violent criminals, not as much shoplifters, than innocent people got killed, and that includes police officers. Inevitably, mistakes will be made. We're going to give police guns and authorise them to open fire under certain situations. They will make misjudgments. They are human. They will get the call wrong. They'll fire when they shouldn't. They'll not fire when they should. And that will lead to innocent lives being lost. We saw this case of Mark Duggan, and yes, he was a gangster. He had a criminal record, not terribly seriously, but nobody, not even his family, disputes he was a gangster. But he was shot dead whilst unarmed, legally, as the court decided, the jury decided. So the police ought to be armed. It would reduce crime, and it would reduce the number of innocent people who get killed. It might even increase the number of gangsters who get killed. It might dissuade people from carrying out armed robberies and other violent crimes. So the police are very restrained, which is a laudable thing, and it would make the police rather safer as well. So that's why we ought to do it. It's not a catastrophe, and many members of the public have called for this.